One of the examples that I thought it should be useful is for the same users, the same app, I have a multiple execution. In the morning, at the 6 a.m. in the morning, there are some people still sleeping there, maybe some people going to the school, they are ready to move, staying in the couch in the morning, I have nothing to do. Or a young lady going to the work and the washing machine is up and running and just moving into the traffic. Some people is like, it's waking up time. They need to move to the work, or some people really active going to the gym in that early time. These guys, they are your consumer. In the same time spot, in the early morning, I need to push a message for them to understand. If I need to target the whole group, it will not make any useful exercise. I will invest my money, be it the marketing or the advertising, with nothing. Because the guy who's sleeping there, I need to see the screen of the mobile. He has different mode, different understanding for the message than the guy is staying in the treadmill for like 30 minutes. I can simply push the same message with the same ad, with the same UI and color and everything for these two gents. I can't. I need just to focus on one group or maximum two similar group. I can't go for everyone, just to understand that. So I need to understand, observe, conceptualize, validate, implement, and between that, I have this type of iteration. I need to get back again to the message. Did I target the same group correctly? Did they read or even see the message that I need to have? I need to do this exercise after my campaign, just to make sure that I'm in the right direction. And finally, you need to have it. You need to nail it down. If you have only two groups, these guys, they are laying at the same time. They are similar, maybe different age, but they are similar. It's almost the same time. They are lazy. They have the same mood. I can push the same message for these two, exactly the same, and they will understand the message from that sense. Some numbers. It's really interesting to know some numbers, like if you thought you need to have an idea of app, you need to be really cautious where you are going there. You can't compete with lots of developers on the same time, but you have a chance to compete with group of users that no one or fewer people touch them. That's like much smarter way to target people. I can't go for everyone. And these like bunch of numbers. 2015, almost like 180 billion download from the application across all the stores. It's a massive number of downloads. Can you imagine the users that can be one of that billions he got or see your app? It's really difficult to understand, right? And if we move like a multiple view of that, that's the free app. Out of the 180 billion app, almost like 165, 67 billion app are free app. The users not easily digest the paid app. He don't need to pay at the spot the $1, the $2, the $3, whatever the value is. And if we can see the difference, the growth rate for the old app is actually the same percent of the growth rate of the free app, while the paid app is really slowing. If you can see the curve between on the graph is really slowing every single year. Paid app is not moving that well. If I reflect with the whole competition coming there, lots of developers, lots of content, lots of apps, lots of people connected. Even if we have millions of users, still the app store is really difficult for people to discover and find the right app for them. They're still stuck with the 20%. If you are familiar with that model, 20% of the apps on the app store are downloaded. The whole 80 is like in the desert. No one touches most of the 80% of the application on the App Store. Only 20%, the lucky 20%, who's getting the download, and actually out of the 20%, almost like a 1% getting a revenue from the App Store. The whole remaining people is like just putting the app, they done their effort. Mostly they closed their company like after few weeks of the app release. And here's the Apple Store. That's the cumulative, not like a single shot. They are accumulating downloads up to 100 billion download as of June 2015. It's a bit massive. But surprisingly, the Apple Store is not the leading as such. That's the iOS download. Android has a decent download volume as well. But actually there's two hidden players. They are coming from China. They are Chinese market as such, driving a real growth of the downloads. Baidu and Tencent, these are the downloads. If you can compare, for example, Baidu and iOS, like, is nothing. I would get my app in Baidu, for example, if I need to reach out more users with a better expectation of the volume sales, I will go here, for example. Most of the people perception is like iOS is doing great. Some people now mention like Google Play and Android is moving very quickly, lots of users, market share. But again, you need to make sure which market that you need to touch base. Google Play is strong, is everywhere, honestly. No one can claim that, but still not driving that type of downloads, and even worse in the revenue. iOS is doing okay-ish in download, yet he has much better view on the revenue still. So you need to be cautious where you have your app. If you need to have a free app, for example, Google Play is key. iOS is nice to have, while these gents in other markets, you need to care for, because these guys, they can drive you a massive downloads. And if you are targeting the in-app advertising model, for example, that's the quarter that you need to focus on, not the area of the small download as such. Here is the revenue, which is coming very well. Honestly speaking, about the App Store, we'll have another review with the split, but you can imagine by 2017, more than $75 billion business coming only from the apps. It's massive market. Unfortunately, 1 or 2% of the developer able to cater for that $75 billion, but you need to fight your way. Fighting the way, as we mentioned, is targeting different market, different group of people, getting your app away from the fight. Like if everyone fighting for the US market or everyone fighting for the Europe market, you can easily leave them with that fight and go to the emerging market. Like China, for example, like Latin America, like the whole EMEA region. Like you can focus on emerging market and give the fight for the big player on the developed market. But it is profitable business and everyone need to be there. A better view for the iOS when it comes to the revenue. iOS almost like a 50% of that revenue there. And actually most of the iOS coming again from the in-app purchase, which is getting the app free at the hand of the user, and then you start to push the content or certain premium content, certain premium applications to the same users. Google Play is not doing well if we compare it to the iOS, while China still doing extremely well. Can you imagine if you need to target the whole 200 country with a Google Play? I would prefer to target one country with the Android app still. I mean, it's like not a different development techniques. It's the same Android technology, but I can target one market. It's really big enough to cater for the whole Google Play from revenue perspective. If we have a paid app, I will go for China, for example, to push it there. than just spend all my effort across multiple countries, multiple language, multiple culture, multiple areas with a Google Play. And the good news of if you have an iOS app that really can hit, then iOS is really a good domain. Like that's the whole revenue coming from that operating system. Another view of the revenue of the application, and we'll have it like in different format as well. Games is everywhere. Games is everywhere. Games is almost like a 50% of the app revenue only from one category, from the games. If you have a game for kid, for adult, for whatever the format is, games is the secret word actually to get a paid app or in-app purchase as such. It's the games. The second one is the education, was like not that, the productivity is not that high, but can you imagine the rest of the categories in the app store? It's okay-ish, like I can do good business with that, but games is key. If I need to have an app coming there, I would highly recommend to get the game as a key app. That's like you have a better chance to download, you have a better chance to get revenue out of the games. The number of app store is really growing every single day. Every single day, hundreds and thousands of apps just released there. iOS used to be a leader at some point of time. Android, actually, that's the latest figure is 1.5 million app. Is like lots of apps coming there, lots of apps. The runner, which is a bit far, like a Windows Phone, Amazon, BlackBerry, they are not competing as such. Even their market share is not that massive. And you can easily reflect that with the app ecosystem is not there. If you need to put your app at certain market to get the most of the volume, Google Play, which is the Android market, or the Apple iOS platform, that's the most download, the big chunk there. Some people try to play it smartly, like I need to focus, for example, in a small competition. Like I can go to BlackBerry, this guy is a really poor guy. I can have one of the apps is extremely successful in the iOS, and then start to target my first 1,000 or 10,000 users here in BlackBerry. I can shine. I can be a shining star in BlackBerry store, easy. Like there is lots of applications. I don't know, 130,000. I claim 10,000 is a quality app, and the remaining apps like some people putting some content, website or something like that. If you develop an app that can be very successful in the Apple Store or Android Store, just put it on the BlackBerry, which is the weakest, the weakest circle there, but you can be a shining star on that ecosystem and start to push your app further into other ecosystem as you go. And here's the categories, which is like, again, pushing the same message. Games on the App Store, in the iOS store, is the leading, by far. If you need to have a paid app, or even a download app, like top download or top revenue, games is key. Out of the 20, you can imagine like some categories is even not touched. But some people mention the navigation app, for example, here in Dubai, or some people, there is using Google Maps very frequently, right? From the scope of the global, using the navigation app is like the number 20 of the usage across the category. While you somehow use the game category in a way or another. It can be the Candy Crush, it can be any game that's coming there, much more visible and much more active and attractive for the users and their pocket than the navigation app. And here's very interesting numbers. Out of the top 10 apps, if I may ask, how many apps you installed in your iPhone, for example, or your Android? How many?
100.
100. Wow.
Usually an average 50, I think.
Yeah, most of the people in 50 and 30 actually, even less with less storage devices. But can you imagine, out of the 100 app, by statistics, the top 10 is the only app. All the 90 app is nothing. It's just taking the storage. Maybe you need to have lots of icons at the screen, just keep it there. But yeah, from the usage perspective, you have a hero app in your device. And again, it depends on your category, your group age. It can be the email, it can be the Facebook, it can be the Twitter, WhatsApp, I don't know. There is a hero app in your device that you can't live without it. And then you have multiple apps, up to 10th app, and out of the 10 is a 1% use. The whole remaining, like it can be 90, it can be I don't know how many apps that you have, is nothing. Again, the focus of putting your app part of the top 10 is key. And that's how we are pushing, as we mentioned, the marketing and how to sustain the marketing and how to keep the user active as much as you can. Even if you are able to reach out to that number, he start to download the app. He's part of the 99 app downloaded on the phone, but actually he will never use it across the day. That's another view, a different view, and we'll have it actually in different format. That's how the ecosystem shift between 2009 till 2014. People are moving very quickly on the smartphone industry. If I have a company back in 2009 and need to develop an app, a killer app, that reach out everyone, for example, I'll go for these gems. It was Nokia at that time with the ancient Symbian devices. Can you imagine if I stay 1 year, it's like 10% reduction on the market share for the same company. 2 years is like another 30% reduction on the same company. If I still even in the business in 2012, which is getting my app mature as such, it's like 4.2 market share. My business is really dying as we go. You're still investing the whole money, you are investing your developer activities and everything, while the market are moving totally different direction. The message is, you don't know what's happening next. At that snapshot, Android is key and it's growing. At that snapshot, iOS was big, it's decaying, and actually in 2015, iOS will start to increase and Android will start to shrink. You need to make sure about what's happening there on the field of the smartphone business. If you are targeting these guys, you need to make sure that you are in. You don't need to have the same picture of Android back in 2009 if I started with Nokia, for example, or with the Symbian device. You need to make sure the life cycle of the app, the users is the key. If he's jumping from Android to iOS, I don't know, from iOS to anything else, you need to be with him. You need to listen, you need to understand, you need to keep him with you, whatever the format of the operating system. Yeah, and he's like a massive difference. It was a decent competition 2010, like everyone is competing equally. Maybe the developer is a nightmare. Like, which developer? It's BlackBerry, it's Windows, it's iOS. I can't compete. I can't go for a competition. I need lots of cash actually to develop multiple platforms, even worse with Android fragmentation. But 2014, it's much easier, really much easier. I mean, you have two OSs, clearly, Android and iOS. They are the key operating system. Only two developers, two mobile developers. And just you need to focus to play with. Is it revenue exercise? Is it download exercise? Are you looking for advertising business, in-app purchase? You just need to be wisely selecting the operating system or the iOS or the Android development and put the app into that ecosystem. So, just to wrap up, put your apps as part of your marketing motion, which is pushing the why. The how and the what is coming, but you need to push the why. You need to let people understand why they need to have this app in their phone and why they need to use it multiple times across the day, or at least to be part of the top 10 apps used. You need to ideate the experience of the user. It's again, I'm developing the applications from developer company or whatever for the users. It's for the users. It's not for me. It's not for my use. It's for the users. I need to be centric for that users. Ideate the experience with a true consumer in mind. As we mentioned in the early morning, we may have lots of people in different mode. I need to understand my target, my segmentation, and how I position that app or that product to them. I need to understand that true consumer in mind and in my campaigns. The exploration is a key. I think we have part of the Innovation Week, we have a UX session. Please listen to them. These guys will keep your user, your active user, as active as much, and then give you a chance to be part of the top 10 apps used. Concept of testing before jumping to the ad network, that's a key. I can't just go, for example, for a Facebook ad is a bit expensive as such, like number of downloads or the downloads per click in Facebook. It can be a bit expensive for you as a startup, for example. You need to make sure which ad network that you need to go there. Is it Twitter user? Is it Facebook user? Snapchat, Instagram, portal users, whenever the way is. You need to make sure where to spend your money at that such. And finally, localize and don't translate, which is part of the basic marketing thing. I need to get the message in that context. Even if I'm developing the application in Arabic, there is lots of delegates. People in Gulf. Hello.
It's okay.
Yeah, people in Gulf, for example, they have different. Thanks. They have different delegates than North Africa. Even in North Africa, there is Egypt, Tunis, Morocco. There is multiple countries there. You need to make sure which target you are going there. And here is you need to localize the message, not to translate the message. Again, the same for the app. You need to localize the app, not to translate the app into normal right to left, left, right format. Here is the sales funnel. If you are familiar with the old sales funnel, just need to push with the new one. That's part of the McKinsey research. Awareness, familiarity. I'm going there. People start to know my app, start to understand what I need to have. They start to consider the app and then the purchase or the download. But it will not continue as part of the sales funnel because the user need to be actively engaged with you. You need to close the loyalty loop, like getting more content, much better, appealing UX as you go, the updates of the applications. You need to keep it fresh. And even the user is really smart for the post-purchasing. For example, I can download the app. It's a free app. I do the registration. And as I mentioned, like part of the 100 app that I have on my device, there is an app after the registration, which is a free. Send me a small email, like a welcome email. Thank you for using the application. These are a voucher gift, for example, for using certain premium content. Trust me, the user will appreciate that experience. And he will back again to your sales funnel. He will consider the app and start to purchase another content from you. And then back again with a decent email, decent tweet, decent Facebook post. You just keep him in your loop of the post experience after the purchase. That's how people are moving these days. It's not one direction. You can't sell or even download the app for the user and leave it there on the desert. You need to keep engage him as much as you can. And finally, if I need to have a marketing decision, it's where to compete. That's the key message. I need to find my battlefield. I need to know where to compete, right? I can if I mention developed market is really saturated and oversaturated with lots of people, emerging market still there, still virgin area that you can develop lots of application for them. It's how to compete, which is how to get the product mix or the service that can fit for these competition. And finally is the entry time. And let me get a clear example for the win, right? Most of the Islamic application in Ramadan, that's a clear win. Like everyone just before Ramadan, lots of Islamic apps, Hadith, Quran, there's lots of Islamic apps. It was like trend, we just created 2007 with the people. It was the win. We know the how, we choose the where, which is the Arabic or the Islamic region, and we start to push our app at that sense. The thing is, you need to be a bit cautious. Like, it's where, but it's not the how on the where, right? For example, 2007, when we released the Mus'haf, the Hadith, the whole Islamic apps, at that time, it was extremely appealing. Like, the App Store has no application whatsoever in Arabic or Islamic SKU. We are the market leader, we are the first movers, we are able to get the users, most of the users. But can you imagine if we have 2015 or 2016 for next year Ramadan campaign, I can't go again with the same application back 2007. It doesn't make sense. Yes, I select the where correctly, but it doesn't make sense. Like, khalas, it's end. It's about the how now. You need to have something new that fit people at that time. Some people forget the uniqueness. I can develop the same app, the same exactly app, like Uber. I have Uber. The way of getting taxi in different format. But can you imagine Kareem, which came after Uber, and they are doing actually very successful here in the region. The difference between Uber and Kareem, for me, like from developer or something, from people on that industry, is the cash. Kareem get you a cash for the ride. I can go to the Kareem taxi or the Kareem ride and pay cash. While Uber, I only pay credit card. It's a bit of uniqueness in the region because most of the people here in the whole region, they are not banked. They don't have credit card. And even if they have a credit card, they are not familiar to use it easily over the internet. Even if you have the same exact app, product, service, you need to find some uniqueness. Between Uber and Kareem, which is a bit similar, the same technology, the same way, social sharing is exactly the same. There is a unique thing there, which is I put cash instead of credit card. And then, boom, I start to be market leader and even compete with the big player like Uber on that region, which is on that where. And finally is the win, which is, for example, like Ramadan campaign or any season there, like Christmas season. I can do a Christmas app in January, right? It doesn't make sense. And I can do a Christmas app in December as well. Because simply the user need time to understand the message. For example, if you went to the retail as we speak, which is like a November time frame, all the stores are dressed with a Christmas, right? Because it's November. It's like 2 months coming there. But it is the message. I'm just pushing the message once and once and once, more and more and more, in order to reach out the consideration level. And then I start to purchase the Christmas time, maybe by end of November, early December, by end of December, but at least I will purchase it before end of Jan, which is like an obsolete campaign as such. And finally, keep in mind, yes, Google Play is doing very good in download. And even the Android devices is really segmented between the Play Store of Google, the other stores in China as number of downloads, but the revenue is different, totally different picture. iOS is doing very well in the revenue stream, while Android devices not doing that much. Thank you for your time. Thanks. Any question? Feedback? Nothing? Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, please, please.
When you're making advertisement, you said there's two solutions, or direct to the store directly, or go through a landing page.
Yes.
Based on your experience, which is the best? I've seen some advertisement where I click and it goes directly to the Apple Store or to the Google Play Store on my phone, and I've seen some advertisement where I go to a landing page, and therefore then it will tell me more about the product. Based on your experience, which is the best? And
Yeah, it's a small tip. Keep it on the landing page, but with a recognition of the destination. It is a landing page. People, mostly in the desktop experience, he will not able to download, right? Maybe he can subscribe, he can register, he can push the link to his mobile, but it is the landing page. But your landing page should be smart enough, if it is recognized the origin coming from the mobile, to drive him directly to the Apple Store or drive him directly to the Android store. Yeah, landing page is key, because the small ad on the screen, like the post of the Facebook, for example, is like small text, small icon. You can't say much about your application, or you can't convince him more to purchase or download the app. The landing page is like a decent space, lots of text, picture, animation, videos. You can do lots of things with the landing page. But it should be, as I mentioned, smart enough for the origin of the traffic. Okay, thank you.
Mahmoud, I will be around for